This question is to the women that watch my channel. For the females, we're going to do a survey. Do you find me to be 1, highly attractive, 2, somewhat attractive, 3, attractive, 4, pretty all right? Okay, let's count the poll results. This just in, it looks like 100% of Louis Rossman's viewers do not find him to not be attractive. Every single one of Louis Rossman's viewers considers him to be some form of attractive. Wow! What amazing poll results! This is what's happening in the UK when they talk about age verification and support for age verification. It took me a while to dig into this. I'm hoping that when I show you this, that it will incentivize you to get involved, speak to your local legislators, show up to hearings if there are hearings, or make enough noise that there are hearings about this to push back against this. Age verification is the idea that to use basic services on the internet, I need to show my ID, I need to show my passport, my birth certificate, and this is something that I've pushed back against for a number of different reasons. It's bad enough that we live in a world where you don't really own the things you buy and pay for. It's another that you have privacy revoked on a regular basis. It's another to then say that in order to use basic online services, I need to show you my fucking ID. That's what this is, and I don't like it. Now, I will read posts like this from time to time to make it seem like there is more support for this than there actually is. This is on Twitter. UK consultation results show overwhelming support for social media age limits, with 89% of responding parents backing a legal minimum age requirement. The debate is increasingly shifting from whether age assurance works to how it should be governed and enforced. Now, there are a number of different surveys that got done, and it pisses me off the way that they perform these surveys. Some of these surveys were done in a manner where there was honesty involved. Let's go over the ones that had some level of honesty involved. You have this one over here where question 4 says, would you support a legal requirement for social media services to have a minimum age of access? And over here, it says all responses, 71% were all people, 26% were no. And then for parents, when you sort it by parents, 89% were for parents and 10% were no. Now, if you answered this with a yes, you get routed to question 5. And if you answered this with a no, you get routed to question 6. But let's take a look at question 6. Question 6 is, would you support a legal requirement for social media services to have a minimum age of access of lower than 16? If so, at what age would you set it? You have yes, 13, yes, 14, yes, 15, no, not lower than 16, and don't know/prefer not to answer. And other, please specify. Now, what do you notice about question 6? There is no option for a no. There is no option there for I universally and always oppose age verification laws. That option doesn't exist, and you get routed to that option if you voted no on question 4. And what's even better is when you look through this, there are other surveys that were done. That was not the only survey that was done that don't even ask this question at all. On the other survey they did, parent views on the statement social media platforms should have a minimum age of access of at least 16 and should not be accessible to any children under that age. You have strongly agree, somewhat disagree, somewhat agree, strongly disagree, neither agree nor disagree, and don't know. But what's not there is fuck this, I don't give a shit what the age is, I do not support age verification. That is never an option. They don't ask question 4 in this survey. When you'll scroll down, you'll see this. Parent support for restriction of social media younger ages. Yes, 12 years old or younger. Yes, 13 years. Yes, 14. Yes, 15. No, it should be 16 years old. Net support restrictions for those younger than 16. There's no option for no, I don't think that this should exist at all. It doesn't exist. It's not an option. The only group of people who are asked that are actual kids. If you're an adult and you took this version of the survey, you were literally never allowed to even fucking answer and say that you don't want age verification. Over here, C, Y, and P, which I believe is children and younger people, support restriction for social media. There is this one option here. No, I think children younger than 16 should be allowed to use social media. This is a question that is not asked to the adults. It's only asked to the children. And the interesting thing here is that when you dig in through this document that's getting used to claim that this is something that has widespread support, a very few referenced any age, all ages, or similar terms. However, given the framing, it was not possible to determine whether those respondents intended to advocate for a total ban on functionality or for no age restriction at all. What the fuck? But wait, it gets better. When you look at the total number of respondents to some of these surveys, you have like 21,000, 31,000, 39,000. Take a look at this. This is a UK parliamentary petition. Do not ban social media for under 16 years old. 120,000 signatures. Do not introduce digital ID cards. 2.9 million signatures. So when they're claiming that these are proposals that have widespread support, not only is that fundamentally not true, not only are they sometimes asking the question in a way that literally does not give you a way to say, I'm sorry, I don't find you attractive, Louis. But they also are completely ignoring the fact that more than 100 times as many people as the people that filled out this survey are also saying, fuck no, we don't want this in our country on the UK Parliament website. And that's just being left out of the conversation entirely. People in the UK don't overwhelmingly support this. They're polling people that already support that. They're taking the people that already support it and then asking them other follow-up questions, and then using the follow-up questions from the people that already support it to make it seem like there is a manufactured consent that does not exist. These surveys and the polling, in my opinion, are done in a manner to try and skew public opinion so that you believe that you're just the only one in the country that thinks that this is a bad idea, when in reality, you're not. Talk to your neighbors about this. Talk to everybody that's around you about this, and you'll find that most people disagree with the idea that I should have to take out my fucking ID in order to use IRC, Discord, or be able to post online, and that you're being tricked, you're being gaslit, you're being fucked with. And that's the thing to understand, that you are being fucked with. Once you understand that, it's easy to start pushing back against this in an organized way. Now, I'm not a citizen of the UK. I can't write the government there because they're not going to care about what I say. I don't pay taxes there. I'm not a citizen. I'm a citizen of the United States. So I can't really help you as much as I would like to be able to help you. What I can do is try to light a fire up under your ass. And that's what I'm hoping that this video does. I'm going to include a link to the article down below so you can read all of this for yourself and you can see the manipulative manner in which all of this is framed. And hopefully when you see that, you go from somebody that writes an angry tweet or a Discord message about this to somebody that actually shows up in your representative's office, who calls them, who emails them, who shows up in person organized with other people who are going to show up in person. Because that's the only way that you're going to get any real change. Because if you continue things going along the way they are on autopilot, you are going to get gaslit into the idea that a small minority of the country actually does believe in all this, and then it's going to get pushed on the majority of the country. And then you're all just going to have to accept it because it'll already be written into law. And I don't want to see that happen for you, even if I don't live in the UK. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you very much for trying to push forward freedom in the UK. Now, before I end the video, this is going to be an ad, so I'm just going to give you time to be able to go to your phone and turn it off before I start talking. I've decided to do a video series where I travel to different parts of the country the way that I used to, and I record legislative hearings, whether we're talking about hearings where they're talking about whether or not to install an AI data center in a community, or hearings on some of these crappy 3D printer laws that I've been talking about that popped up all over the country. Also, when doing the AI data center thing, I thought it would be cool if I took that P-Track 8525 particle counter and started using it to actually measure what's in the area. I'm going to be redoing my entire live streaming setup and my entire video recording setup because much of what I'm recording on is literally stuff that's so old, it says VCR on it. Not kidding. So I'm selling my old camera equipment to try and fund some new stuff. And I'm also selling some new stuff here that I did not have announced already, which is some audio equipment. So this is a Zoom F3 recorder. It's a great recorder that has 2 XLR inputs. You can record either microphone or line level input. This is a 32-bit recorder, which means that you don't have knobs on it that you have to turn in order to adjust the input gain. It just records. You don't have to worry about it clipping because it's almost impossible to. Now, unlike some cheaper recorders or cheaper transmitters like the DJI Mic 2, which I reviewed here, you don't have to worry about getting a nice 32-bit file that perfectly reflects your shitty clipped analog input stage. I tested both the DJI Mic 2 and Saramonic and stuff like that, the cheaper end, and then I tested this with a microphone like this plugged into it, and I did I don't know how you clip this thing. It has a very, very good analog input stage, very good analog to digital converter, and I'm also going to be selling it with this K-Tech Stingray belt. So what this does is it allows you to mount this and just kind of wear it around your waist like this, and it also allows you to put accessories in it. So you have this for your Zoom. This is so you could look up at it and you could kind of like look at what's going on the screen. You can immediately put it back down over here. It has belts for you to put things in it. For instance, you could put this wireless transmitter over here. So it can now transmit and record at the same time. So it means this also helps you violate Glenn Sanders' patent. And let's be real, who doesn't want to do that? And you could also put something like a battery over here, because this can be powered by a USB-C battery bank in addition to its internal AA batteries. So I'm going to be selling this with the internal AA batteries. I'm going to give you 2 rechargeable batteries plus a battery charger. They're going to be used, but you're going to get 2 AA batteries plus a battery charger. You're going to get this case. I'm not selling this battery. You're going to get the case, and you're going to get the Zoom. So I'm not selling the wireless thing either. This is a pretty cool device because you could have 2 microphones. You could have 1 microphone that's for you, and you could have another microphone that you walk around with for holding up to people that you want to record. So if you want to do interviews in the street or something like that, you could do that with this. It also works as a USB audio interface. And one of the cool things about this is it works with a USB audio interface on a phone. So if you wanted to do the Psycho thing instead of the DJI Mic 2 thing and actually plug this into a phone and use it as an audio interface and then record or live stream from the phone, you can literally use this as an audio interface. I have tested that on Android phones, and that actually works. You can also use it as an audio interface in your computer. Can't record keyboard and use it as an audio interface at the same time like you can with the Zoom F6, but it's still pretty cool. I'm going to have this up. There's going to be an auction with also a buy it now link on my own site. This is not eBay. This is store.rossmangroup.com. So this is my online store. So this is not going to work with an eBay login. But if you don't want to register on my store, we have a Google OAuth set up. So if you have a Gmail account, you can also sign in with that. So I'm going to be having something new up here every day that I get rid of. I've made a promise that every single day I have to get rid of one thing that I'm hoarding. And there is just so much stuff that I don't need, I don't use anymore that's still here that I'm going to be looking to get rid of. And I'll be putting the money from getting rid of this stuff towards all sorts of cool new adventures in the channel into the future. Thank you for listening to my ad, and I will see you in the next video. I'll leave a link down below to both the sources of this video, as well as a link to where you can buy my old stuff. See you in the next one. Bye now.